Coming up on TekThing, one charger to rule them all, and then that fight over the one outlet in the kitchen. System76 Ubuntu Linux Laptop is rooting Android dead, researching flaws in security professionals, and drop bears. It's all coming up on TekThing. Thank you, patrons. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you each and every week. Join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
We try.
Yes, we do.
I gotta ask, did you manage to spend, flight to Australia, how many hours?
About 14 hours to Sydney, and then I had a layover, and then another hour and a half to get up to Gold Coast.
14 hours?
Yeah.
How many hours of the 14 did you spend playing Zelda?
Let's see. I think I spent about 4 hours at total at a time that I would actually play it on the flight. So not as much as I thought I would. I was able to bring my battery on there no problem at all, which was really cool.
I was curious, were you gonna was your portable power pack, your portable battery going to tap out?
No, it was fine.
So your
it was
thumbs
perfect.
tapped out first?
My thumbs tapped out first. Yeah, it's true. They cramped up long before the battery died. And also, I know people are gonna comment on it. This is not a perm. This is my real hair. I was just lazy.
I like your curly hair.
Thanks.
It's nice.
I hate it.
And you don't have to straighten it.
No, I don't. That's why I'm saying I'm lazy.
You thought that hairdryer review was frivolous?
Yeah, this is why I reviewed that hairdryer, just FYI.
You don't
this
use
is
like the two metal heated plates where you your hair straight?
Well, I do.
Those are the scariest things I've ever seen in my life.
I have used those. All right, so we actually have some tech content today, starting off with a tweet from Curt. So Curt wrote in at FarmBoy24. He tweeted, "Patrick, what are you using to charge all of the phones and tablets in your household? Done with plugging them into my PC. Thanks." All right.
Oh my goodness. If I listed the top 3 tech things that have grossly improved life in the Norton household over the last couple of years, I think certainly in the top 3, perhaps in the top 1 on the rough days, Anker's PowerPort 5 desktop charger.
Yes.
It's really simple. It's a box. It's got 5 USB ports. It can provide up to 8 amps, and it splits the amperage across all of the ports. So if you have 3 iPads that draw 2.4 amps each, you're only going to have 0.8 amps for the last couple of ports.
Right.
The amperage you see, it is shared. It's using the what Anker calls Power IQ, which basically says we'll shove as much amperage at your device as your device will pull out of it.
Which is different from Qualcomm. Keep that in mind.
Yes, and well, it's kind of crazy, right? So this I bought. I would say the first production run of these, I think they had some issues with. After that, there's something like 4,000 4-point-something star reviews on Amazon.com.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's people love it. I mean, this was huge when it came out. Not huge,
I bought
big.
one when it first came out too, and I'm still using it.
You own
like 3
of these.
I do, yeah. So if you are traveling a lot and you have to go to hotels that might not have a lot of outlets, one of those USB hubs is really great if you have to share outlets amongst several different USB charging devices.
Right.
And I also recently got a USB hub for my computer that I plug in here too, and I just Velcroed it onto the side of my desk. So that way it saves my desktop a ton of space and a ton of cables and everything, since I just have one plugging into my computer as opposed to 8 different USB cables. I don't have enough ports, so.
No, and more often than not, you might have one high power port on your motherboard and the rest of them are just 500 milliamps, which sucks because it takes forever to charge a lot of things.
Now, do they have that one anymore?
They do not. The one I own, they do not make anymore, but if you go to Anker.com, you will see a metric ton of options, right? They've got USB-C power port options, they've got 5-port devices, 6-port devices, and the one I covet, which is right over here, which is 10 ports.
Whoa.
Yeah, 60 watts across 10 ports. So it's not going to charge 7 iPads simultaneously at full power. It's 12 amps overall. So that is a lot of power.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but this is probably the one in our future, because now we've got my phone, my wife's phone, my portable audio player, my son's camera, 2 drones that charge via USB, the GoPro batteries.
I know what you
once
mean.
you start, but there are a ton of options. Yeah. And I'm just Curt, this is a total game changer. You're gonna love this thing. you may not need the 10 ports, but like, look, 1,253 customer reviews, and we're looking at 4.8 out of 5 stars. People are really happy with these.
Yeah.
And again, they do have options with USB-C and regular USB ports.
And they do have awesome customer service.
Yeah.
I've gotten to deal with that in the past too. So good on you, Anker. We like your things.
And look, they've even got one with 5 desktop, like a 5-port desktop charger with 5 micro USB cables bundled. Isn't that nice?
That's so nice.
It's so nice. In any case, yeah, go.
Yeah, Amazon.com, camel. Remember that to check the prices, and also Anker.com for those. And of course, if you have any USB wall chargers or hubs that you prefer, make sure to send those in. We would love to see what your options are as well.
I should buy one of these to travel with. We have had a bunch of people, you TekThing viewers out there, asking about Shannon's XPS 13, which runs Linux, and for more Linux laptop reviews, which brings us to that critter right there, the System76 Galago Pro 13 Ubuntu laptop. Because really, having a laptop show up with all the Ubuntu drivers you need,
oh man,
priceless.
That's the best thing ever.
That's the tough thing if you have a brand new laptop is, can you actually get all the open source drivers you need to make it run?
Yeah, and that's why Ubuntu, specifically Canonical, has a whole list of computers that will work very well with their Linux Ubuntu setup operating system. So luckily they have a list. But if you want to, you can usually install it on pretty much anything you want. In the case of System76, they build laptops specifically for Ubuntu. So you can run it straight out of the box and all the drivers are ready, everything works, which is brilliant when it comes to Linux, let me tell you. So their newest one, and this was something that System76 fans really wanted, was something sleek, really mainstream, something that you could take to work.
I feel comfortable in saying that traditionally a lot of dedicated Linux laptops have been kind of industrial.
They have.
Kind of big. Kind of heavy.
They have.
Yeah.
So this one is called the Galago Pro. It just came out this month and it just started shipping the pre-orders. It's a 13-inch Ubuntu laptop, and the starting price on this is under $1,000. Nice. So it starts at $949. Comes with either 16.04 or 17.04. So the one I'm running is 17.04. It's regular Ubuntu Linux right out of the box. I haven't made any customizations except for what you can see here. I'm running Lolcat because how can you not run Lolcat? It's cute. And it's great for testing out the screen and seeing how adorable it looks with all the different colors.
Oh my goodness.
So as you can probably tell, this is a metal aluminum construction all the way around. The construction is quite thin, which I think helps a lot with the weight on this. More on that in a bit.
You mean thin like the whole thing is not thin?
Yeah,
or?
it's like really thin. Like really, really thin.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazingly nice. So it comes with an i5-7200U 3.1 gigahertz CPU or an i7-7500U 3.5 gigahertz CPU. And you can also get it with all sorts of different styles of RAM. So you can get either 4, 8, 16, or 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. You can also do, they have a lot of customizations that you can do. Specifically, if you check out their website, it says up at the top, design and buy. So basically that means you can actually go through and change all of your specifications to whatever you like. So in this example, you can get 120 gig solid state drives, up to 6 terabytes of storage if you want to. And it does include Intel HD graphics. It's an Intel HD 620 graphics and the nice 13.3-inch high DPI screen, which is equivalent to 3K. Yeah, so as you can see, lots and lots of options there. So when I say that this is equivalent to 3K, the actual resolution is 3200 by 1800. And when you're watching 4K videos, obviously it's not 4K, but it looks really, really good. It looks really nice.
I could care less about 4K, but having a larger, I no longer want a 1080p desktop on my laptop. The XPS 13 broke me for that. No 1080p.
The only reason you can read the terminal right now is because I increased the text font size on there because I couldn't read it because it was so small. But yeah, it's really nice. And then the entire size of this,
it's like 0.56 inches
0.56 inches thick. Yeah, and it's only 2.8 pounds. So you can easily stick this in your backpack and you're good to go. You can take it wherever you want. Now you can unscrew the bottom, which is really cool. So you gain access to the RAM on here and the solid state drive slots. So if you can't afford to upgrade when you're buying it from System76, you can always upgrade it later on when you can afford that, which is real cool.
I love that. Or over time,
Yes.
as those 1 terabyte drives become less expensive,
totally.
or more memory, because it's one of the things I love
Because you know
about
they
Dell.
will. They always do.
I've modified every Dell notebook I've owned. Thank you, Dell.
So if we
System76.
if we go over ports, there are tons of ports to choose from. On the first side, we have USB-C, which does include Thunderbolt, USB 3.0, there's a mini display, there's HDMI right next to that, there's an SD card slot, which has a rubber little thingy stuck in there so you don't get dirt up in there, and I'm totally going to lose this if I was able to keep this review unit for a long time. There's a Kensington lock and then a full-size Ethernet jack, and that's gigabit Ethernet on there. And then on the other side, if I turn this around, of course we have the power button, which is over there, another USB 3.0 slot, there's the headphone and the mic, and then you also have a SIM card slot, which is it's a little tiny, but there's a SIM card slot right there, which is so cool. Yeah, and then a webcam on the front of it, of course, 720p webcam, and it's in the right place, which I feel like I need to mention, because I'm not used to having a webcam which is in the right place. I'm not a big fan of nostril cam. I'm not a big fan.
The one great downfall of the XPS 13 is the
Yeah.
nostril cam, which is down in the lower left corner of
Yes.
the monitor.
So my review unit here came with an i7 7500U processor, 8 gigs of RAM, which I would prefer 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, but 8 gigs is fine. 250 gig M.2 NVMe Samsung 960 SSD, so perfect for a little laptop. And it also has wireless AC 3168. So in total, this package is $1,328. So it's $1,000, $328. So a little bit more than the minimum you can pay, but I think it's a pretty fair price point for everything that you get in here. On a full charge, the battery lasts about 3 hours and 30 minutes. You might get by up to 4 hours if you leave the display a little bit lower, because it does get rather bright. And if you maybe turn off the backlighting on the keyboard, but you can bet on 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Was that like with the display at like 50% or the display
That was
all
on
the way up?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. The battery is kind of small on here. I do want to mention that. It's a 35.3 watt-hour battery, so you only get that 3 hours and 30 minutes. With the Dell XPS 13, you're going to get around 8 hours. At least that's what I've gotten on the Dell XPS 13 Developers Edition. So keep that in mind. Although the price is a lot more expensive for the Developers Edition.
Yeah, but it's like a 60 watt-hour battery in the Dell XPS 13. So this has double the battery to draw from.
Right.
Can you charge that over USB-C?
You cannot.
Okay.
No, I did try that at home and I wasn't able to charge from the USB-C. So you do have to use their the little battery pack that you get with it, the little wall adapter. I'm not a big fan of the touchpad on here. I don't like having separate buttons for the left and right click.
That's old school.
Mostly because I'm not used to it. I'm sure if I got used to it, I would love it. It does default as a very high DPI, and you can use 2-finger scroll, but not the 1-finger click. Now, that's all default settings. You can change that in the settings. You just have to go into the GUI and find it yourself. The keyboard is quite average compared to other laptops of similar size. It is very comfortable to work with. It does have that F-row key at the top and a separate page up, down, home, and end buttons, which I'm not used to on a keyboard, but I like that those were separate. The function keys are included as well on those F keys, and there are 5 different levels of brightness for the keyboard backlighting. So if you need it really low, you can totally do that. The metal construction, and I feel like, again, this is because it's thinner, it feels a little plasticky to me. And you can kind of hear it whenever I click on it like that. So I feel like I couldn't drop it and it would be okay. So just take care of your laptop. It does have a rather large bezel around the screen here, and I think that helps you have a webcam in the right place. So I'm okay with that. And whenever I was playing with the webcam on Google Hangouts, for example, it's pretty much on par with other ones. So nothing to write home about there. The screen is really, really bright. It's absolutely gorgeous, as I mentioned before when I was watching some 4K videos in 3K version. There are 2 speaker grills on the bottom. You can find them right here and right here where my pinkies are. They are small.
Awkward spot for a speaker.
They're small, they get loud, they're tinny. They're very, very tinny. So I would prefer to use headphones whenever I'm using this laptop. All of the drivers, again, work out of the box, which is super, super great. It's a great, great perk of System76 branded laptops. Definitely really fast and responsive with that 8 gigs of RAM for just normal consumer usage. If you are a developer, if you're somebody that needs more RAM, for example, I would definitely upgrade from 8 gigs because I don't think you would be able to do a lot of programming on this machine without that upgrade.
Or you'd have to be very patient while you were doing it.
Or you would have to be patient, yeah. But all in all, I love it. I really enjoyed playing with this machine, and it's cool. I'm so glad I was able to finally get my hands on a System76 laptop to review.
So great screen.
Great screen.
Great performance.
Yeah.
Great options.
Yeah. The only downfalls I would say is the battery.
Okay. And not really a flagship build quality.
Yeah, the battery, it feels a little plasticky to me, and the touchpad isn't my favorite. So, but it has all the ports that you could ever want, and you can customize it and you can upgrade it, which is so sweet.
I'm jealous of the Ethernet jack.
Yeah, dude, the Ethernet jack. Gigabit Ethernet, man. I want that on every laptop I own.
Yes.
So cool.
So many dongles when you don't have all of the ports. Ladies and gentlemen, System76.com is the website.
Yep.
Do us a favor, email us, ask@TekThing.com. If you have a question or if you want something, something for us to review, let us know. We want to hear about it.
Laptops.
Patreon.com/TekThing. TekThing patrons, they can watch our build videos, subscribe to an audio-only feed, they can check out videos of the edit of every show, and if you're a patron at the $10 level, you can join Shannon and I in our monthly hangout. Thank you for your patronage, people. You make the show possible. Really, we cannot do it without you. And hey, we understand if you can't donate. You got a question? Curious to see us review something? Got a tip or an idea? We want to hear them. Fire them out to ask@TekThing.com, please. We do our best to answer each and every one. Thank you so much for supporting TekThing, no matter how you do it.
We got a tweet from NerdShark69. I love your Twitter handle. He says, @Patrick Norton, @Snubs, are there any reasons to root Android phones nowadays, especially with more and more apps just not working on them?
So rooting means giving yourself root permission on your phone. You might want to tweak settings that are blocked off to normal users, run apps you can't run otherwise, tweak the interface, or the big one, loading custom ROMs.
Yay!
Yeah, custom versions of Android on your phone, especially if the operating system you're provided is a bit dated.
Yeah.
Or loaded up with useless crapware.
Yep.
Not that we get angry about that kind of thing.
This is why I buy Google Pixel phones.
What's the best case scenario?
I think the custom Android awesomeness on your phone is the best case scenario.
Yeah, or just a pure Android experience.
Yeah, pure vanilla.
Pure vanilla Android.
Again, why I buy those Pixel phones.
The worst case is that you end up with a brick.
Right.
Because you completely screwed everything up.
Yep.
So you have spent more quality time with Android on a daily basis than I have.
Yes.
Have you ever rooted a phone?
I have. I actually used to come from the iOS days. So I rooted a couple of older phones a few years ago. One was my old iPhone way back in 2010 that I jailbroke for a custom third-party hacker application that I wanted to review on Hack5, so that's what I had to do. And the other one was an older Android phone that I think I just installed a custom OS on. Both of them were basically just to play for on different segments that I was checking out. In day-to-day life, though, I usually just use my Pixel phone. But back in 2010, they were really easy to do because online tutorials were abundant and folks made open source programs that help with the steps. So I had no issues doing it, and I'm sure I could do it again.
If you wanted to. I've never particularly enjoyed the process of rooting phones, in part because my mobile phone is the only phone I have.
Yeah, and if you don't want to brick it.
Yeah, well, I looked at somebody, I'm like, if I can't dial 911 on my phone because I've been screwing around with a mod, I'm going to feel like a jackass. So, it may be a parental thing, and I really kind of gave up on rooting phones when Cyanagenmod changed their business model, because it was so easy, and now Cyanagenmod's not there anymore, and guess what? Great article up on Lifehacker. LineageOS has taken over or forked Cyanogenmod and continues to develop it. So,
cool.
It was interesting. I tweeted out earlier about LineageOS, or basically asking if people were still, who follow me on Twitter, were still hacking or rooting their phones.
Yeah.
BBW says yes, still wrote custom ROM and kernel, running the slim ROM on that one. Adnan, aka Decadent, says from Cyanagenmod users, which was at its peak about 12 million, is about 1 million on LineageOS these days. Huge drop off in recent years, to which LineageOS says actually 1.7 millions. And I'm curious if that's active users or downloads, but I'm thinking that's active users. Thomas wrote, I am using the LineageOS on my OnePlus One. Brandon also says, I'm running Lineage on my OnePlus One, switched when Cyanogen died. Eric says he's running it on his Nexus 5. Hans installed it on his Nexus 7 for a day before he sold it. Rido Fall says, not since I got the Samsung S7, but I desperately miss the ability to have a firewall, ad block, and back up my data. It's an awful experience. Foster Dobry said he was running Lineage Android on his Nextbiz system Robin. It had quite a few bugs and battery life was not great. He went back to stop, but we got a response from Psychology, who says the battery drain on Ether was finally fixed about a month ago thanks to Nextbit releasing their own 7.0 sources, and I haven't had any bugs. So lots of options, and a lot of people still rooting their phones. But the first thing, right, so LineageOS is about the easiest website to find out there, lineageos.org. And the first place you'll want to go is the list of devices that are currently supported. For example, let's see, oh, hey, Nexus 10, Nexus 4, Nexus 5, 5X, 6P, Nexus 7, C.
Yeah, I think the one I rooted was a Note.
There's my G4 International. And there we go. So maybe I will attempt to install this
so
on
organized.
my phone. Yes, it looks beautiful.
I love seeing
and
websites like that. Nice and organized and beautiful, and have all the tutorials set and ready to go. That's so great.
How to install LineageOS on the G4. Please read through the instructions at least once completely before actually following them to avoid any potential problems because you missed something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think really, unless you're doing custom ROMs or unless you're doing some kind of custom application developing or something like that, you don't necessarily have to root your Android device, such as me, where I have a vanilla Android device. I'm very happy with it. And all those hacker applications that I used to download on a jailbroken phone, they're now available through the Google Play Store. So I don't have a reason to go like bypass that for any reason.
I mean, from a security standpoint, like Google's getting better about monitoring the Play Store. That was a big issue in China not too long ago, where a whole bunch of nasty stuff got through it, and Google has basically said, we're stepping up our game. We're going to keep more of the nasty out of the Play Store.
They did just mention something about that a couple of weeks ago, an update that they're doing with the Google Play Store.
I hate the version of Android that's on the G4.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see. We'll see if I can get it to run.
Do it.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I'll help.
And if you got a question, thank you. Ask at TekThing.com, and we will do our best to answer it. And thank you to everyone who responded to my curiosity out on the Twitter. You were in Australia at AusCert last week. What did you and Darren present to the AusCert community?
So, it was really cool. I really like Australia, and now I want to go back. But since Darren and I gave a keynote, we were given this keynote to a room full of information security professionals. So we did a talk about convenience and how we, as InfoSec professionals, need to practice what we preach. So how can we as geeks rely on our employees and our coworkers and family and friends on taking best practices when it comes to security if we don't actually rely on those ourselves?
Eat the dog food.
Eat the dog food. Yes, exactly. So we put this to the test by dropping 100 USB rubber ducky flash drives at this InfoSec convention, which happened a couple of months ago. They had code on them, which would automatically open up a web page whenever they got plugged in. It wasn't malicious or anything. It just notified us that a site got plugged in. The site would update a document for us telling us a new one got plugged in. So since it was an information security conference that we dropped them at, and the flash drives are known to be a very easy way to hack a machine, we had an idea of what our final numbers would be, but I'm just gonna say, the results may surprise you.
No one plugged them in.
So we're gonna have a full video up. I don't want to like spoil it for you or anything, but you can watch the full video. It's over at youtube.com/hack5. We will be posting the full keynote over on our YouTube channel if it hasn't been uploaded as of the date that we released this TekThing episode. It was my first time giving a talk too, so I'm really, really happy it went so well. I was so nervous. It was really scary getting up on a stage and presenting yourself and not having the ability to edit.
Plus you're upside down and on the wrong side of the planet.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned that during the talk. I was like, is this how it works?
Do I have to stand on my head?
But it was great. I loved it. And thank you so much, Curt, for having us down there because it was an incredible experience. So I want to go back.
And you should watch that video up on youtube.com/hack5.
Yeah, it's good information.
Oh my goodness. What was the reaction to you guys doing research on security professionals? Was there laughter in the audience or did people start throwing things at you?
No, lots of laughter, lots of, really? You did what? So yeah, we got some great responses from everybody in the audience.
Everybody starts looking at their bag and being like,
yeah, like I didn't pick one up, did I? We had a few of those that were just like, what did they do? Because they thought we were talking about their conference.
Oh, funny.
And we were like, don't worry, it's not you guys.
Yesterday, before all of you were awake.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So moving on.
I was just shocked to realize that Google is celebrating 10 years of Street View, 7 continents, 83 countries, millions of miles, one epic road trip. Yeah, I was kind of like, and this showed up in my feed this morning before we shot the show. And apparently the whole thing started out as, quote, Larry Page's far-fetched idea to create a 360-degree map of the world.
Wow.
And you know, it's kind of funny. We see the Google Maps vehicles all the time in the Bay Area.
It's true, yeah.
I think because they test a lot of stuff and they upgrade a lot of stuff. I will say, as much as I have hated Google's 3D maps, they think they've finally perfected them for Manhattan.
Oh, really?
Just thinking out loud there for a moment. But it's kind of crazy when you look at all of the incredibly special stuff they've done.
Yeah.
From like climbing up the sides of mountains to the Great Barrier Reef down in Australia.
That's cool.
My personal favorite, though, is I think just the weird stuff people have found. Like there's an entire cottage industry of listicles of weird stuff on Google Maps.
It's true.
Yeah, the Red Sea Governorate in Egypt, yeah, they've been floating around. The swastika building, a random buffalo herd, the giant triangle. There's all sorts of just odd stuff. In fact, there used to be in Google Maps in San Francisco me jaywalking across 2nd Street. Somebody was like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's me."
Oh, that's great.
My big old bald spot and my big old wide self walking across the street, very obviously in an illegal fashion.
Oh, that's too cute.
But think about I use Google Maps and Street View when I'm looking at a hotel.
Yeah,
what's the neighborhood look like?
Yeah.
What's across the street? Is there a playground nearby? What's that house look like? It's something I don't really think about anymore because it's become such a tool. So, in any case, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Street View.
Happy birthday. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, once in a while, put down the phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog like cuddle with a drop bear and its deadly claws of death.
I'll play this video for y'all.
I don't see the deadly claws of death. Where's the screaming?
I was so excited.
You look so happy.
He's so cute.
Oh my goodness.
Aww. So that's at Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in the Gold Coast, Australia. So holding koalas is kind of a hot debate topic down there in Australia, which I did not know until afterwards. Let me close this so the video doesn't keep on playing. But koalas can be stressed by noises and movement, so they shouldn't be held for more than, they say, half an hour a day, or so I read on several different Australian websites. Yeah. So I heard that Currumbin is one of the only places you can hold a koala because of the Australian regulations. With that said, Currumbin seems to be really cool. Like they seem to take really good care of their animals. They didn't keep a koala off the branch for very long to take photos. I was the first person there taking a photo with the koala, in specifically the one in my picture. And they don't allow selfie sticks. Everyone's very quiet to keep the noise down, though I didn't necessarily favor that they took flash photography, which I didn't realize they were going to do until after they took my picture, and I was like, I wonder if that bothers
Is it
koala.
like pay $20, get a picture of you with a koala?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But the money goes towards like conservation and preservation and stuff. So I was like, okay.
Leaves.
So I was happy just getting a video of him. So that was fun. They also have a wildlife hospital on site, which I thought was really cool. And you can go there and visit. And if you have an animal that, like a wild animal that you need to take there, you can drop it off and they'll take care of them and then rehabilitate them or whatever to get them back into the wild.
Of all the weird stuff I've found in my backyard, the idea of like finding a koala in my backyard. I mean, I've had like possum and raccoon invasions recently.
I learned a lot about conservation and everything when I went there, but they do a lot of preservation in the county. All the locals that I spoke to as well, they spoke highly of this sanctuary, so I checked it out and I really liked it a lot. And I also want to mention, I learned that roadkill kangaroos is a problem down there, but they are trying to get Australians.
You're talking about
wild ones
that have been hit by cars.
That have been hit by cars.
Okay.
Roadkill kangaroos. That's what they say.
I know.
But they said it's a problem down there because they're wild animals and they, you know, with people and cars and
it's like deer in Pennsylvania.
But they say if you do see a kangaroo that is on the side of a road and injured or has died, that you should check its pouch and make sure there's not a joey inside, because sometimes you can find a live joey inside and you can take it to a sanctuary and they can raise it so that it can be released into the wild later. So if you ever see one, make sure to check its pouch. I know that's really weird, but it was something that I learned.
I apologize because I was hearing the voice of a childhood friend saying, "Look for the prize inside," when you said look in the pouch.
That's messed up.
Yes, but so is he. And so is running into wild animals, but it happens.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That was like the joke when I grew up in Pennsylvania. You weren't a real driver until you'd hit a deer because it was just so common.
Yeah. Same with me in Missouri.
So many
Lots of deer. Yeah.
Lots of deer.
So I learned a lot, but I really liked Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. So if you're in the Gold Coast, Australia area, I definitely recommend it for a visit. And you can hold a koala, and they're so sweet. And then you can pet red kangaroos.
Was the fur soft or rough?
It was soft.
Really?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, at least the
like
one
chinchilla soft?
Maybe if they eat a lot of eucalyptus leaves, it like helps their fur get really soft. I don't know.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. You look so happy though. You like?
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. And they say like you can't put your hands all over it and grope it or anything, but you have to put your hands like this to hold it.
Do not molest the drop bear.
Don't molest them. Yeah, and that's why they say like no selfie sticks or anything. Like don't stick stuff in their face or anything like that.
That's good.
Yeah, so they seem protected, and it was a really nice experience. And now I want a koala.
Do not import a koala.
No, they
just will not end well.
There were so many times when I was like, I wonder if I could fit one in my suitcase.
Oh, that's going to be a mess at the customs. And you were worried about the data on your laptop. Did you travel with a laptop?
No, but I did travel with my Kindle and my gimbal and my Nintendo Switch. But luckily, Australia traveling to the US, you don't have to worry about the laptop ban.